This Easter, during the Great March of Return, 17 Palestinians have been killed and 1,500 so far have been injured by the Israeli army using disproportionate force around the Gaza Strip. This week we're going to be looking at debates about internal Israeli politics and how it's affected the way the world's seen Israeli actions and how Israelis themselves perceive their interactions with the Palestinians. Here are 5 reasons why the notion that a rejuvenated Israeli left can be the key to resolving the Israel-Palestine crisis could be a bit of a damp squib. Nehemiah Strassler coined the phrase suicidal left to describe the Israeli left's failure to push back against the Israeli right's near hegemonic control of Israeli politics in terms of domestic issues, but also the Israeli left's failure to address the occupation of the Gaza Strip as well as the West Bank and the Palestinian territories. But it also points to the inbuilt contradictions of leftist Zionism, the idea of a secular project dedicated to the maintenance of a Jewish homeland at the expense of peoples who have had their lands taken away from them and are being shut up in the world's biggest open-air prison. The latest manifestation of this internal contradiction within Israeli leftist politics has been the saga of Tamar Zandberg, the new leader of Meretz, Israel's leftist party. She used, during her leadership election, consultants that had been involved in helping far-right parties send out not only electoral messages but also violent messages against Israel's Arab and Palestinian communities. Not only did she use these far-right consultants, but she lied about it, and now her party has been forced to have a rupturous internal dialogue about its future ideological and practical and policy direction. But it's not just parties on the discernible Israeli left. We've seen parties previously associated with the Israeli left-wing tradition, now much more centrist, such as the Israeli Labour Party, really not only remaining on the centre, and an Israeli centre which has been dragged rapidly to the right, but one which has been incapable of taking advantage of Netanyahu and not only his political weakness, but the corruption scandals erupting within his government. Additionally, it's important for us to remember that the Labour Party, along with the general Israeli left, have been really the origins of this tight contradiction between the idea of occupation and the idea of secular egalitarianism. After all, it was the Prime Minister's Golda Meir, her Defence Minister Moshe Dayan, who were the leading advocates of aggression of Israel towards its Arab neighbours. They shared in the spoils of the victories of the Six-Day War, but also the tragedies within the Pyrrhic victory in the Yom Kippur War. And the legacy of Israeli labourism has been a mixed one which has seen the tensions between the idea of egalitarianism, but also trying to reconcile with the fact that Israel is a state which engages in occupation of its neighbour. This has increased, in turn, the legitimacy of campaigns such as BDS, which seek to economically target the Israeli state in its aggression towards the Palestinians and its neighbours. Because of no viable opposition within Israeli civil society or the political spectrum, the onus is on the impact that can be brought to bear on the Israeli state economically, as well as pressure on Israel's Western allies. As long as Zionism remains a non-egalitarian ideology dedicated to dispossession, eviction and occupation, there can be no discernible Israeli left. The idea of Palestinians as disposable, as long as you can fix the internal social problems of Israel, is something which has crippled Israel's left. Its inability to win victories against the Israeli right, and its inability to transform what's called the Israeli centre.